ለመማር ወደ ትምህርት ተቋም መሄድ ግድ አይደለም።
ናሽናል አቪዬሽን ኮሌጅ
ራሳችሁን ከኮሮና ቫይረስ ወረርሽኝ እየጠበቃችሁ በቤታችሁ ወይም በተመቻችሁ ቦታ
በኢንተርኔት አማካኝነት በኦንላይን ትምህርታችሁን መከታተል ይቻላል።
ካናዳ ከሚገኘው ኢንተርናሽናል ኤር ትራንስፖርት አሶሲዬሽን አያታና
ከእንግሊዙ ኢንስቲትዩት ኦፍ ኮመርሻል ማኔጅመንት ICM ጋር በመተባበር የሚሰጡ ትምህርቶችን ተከታትላችሁ በ6 ወር ጊዜ በዓለም አቀፍ ደረጃ ተቀባይነት ያለውን የስልጠና ማስረጃ ባለቤት መሆን ይቻላል።
ከኢትዮጵያ ሲቪል አቪዬሽን ባለስልጣን ሙሉቅና ባገኘንባቸው የፍላይት ኦፕሬሽን እና የሆስተስ ስልጠናም በመዝገባ ላይ ነን።
ጥያቄና መልስ የክፍል ስራዎች ብሎም ፈተና መፈተን ክፍል ውስጥ እንዳላችሁ አይነት
ልምድ ባላቸው መምህራን እየተማራችሁ
በኦንላይን ባላችሁበት ቦታ
አድራሻ ከ22 ማዞሪያ ወደ ሾላ ገበያ በሚወስደው መንገድ 150 ሜትር ገባ ብሎ ናሽናል አቪዬሽን ኮሌጅ
የናሽናል ኤርዌይስ እህት ኩባንያ
ህልሞን እውን ያደርጋል።
How are you? How are you?
We are fine.
We are all fine, I think.
Okay, okay. That's great. If you're fine, that's important. I'm also doing very well in Kenya. The
Good.
same with Ethiopia.
Yep.
Okay, so we can begin our class for today. I think everybody is in. Can we start? Can we start?
Yes, of course.
Okay, thank you. So where did we stop last? I need to be told because what was the last thing that we looked at? Introduction. We're almost finishing the semester, by the way. I think I only have 2 more topics with you, 2 more topics. Group dynamics and work teams and building a leadership team, but I know we have assignments. So let's start now our class for today, just like Mamo said. And I don't want to begin a new topic. I want to look at where we stopped last, but I want to focus on key aspects of innovation, okay? Key aspects of innovation. And I'll be looking at some of the key models that exist when it comes to innovation, And we'll be looking at them in terms of how they have been able to evolve from time. This is just a continuation. I would call these our bonus, I would call them bonus slides because this was not part of what we were to teach in this class. I was just to do creativity and innovation, but I felt it's important that you look at these models because now you're getting into your research work. When you get to your research work, you can be able to use some of these models basically to be able to do your research, okay? Because in chapter 2 of your research work, you're supposed to support your study with a theory, a model, chapter 2. And the theory or model must be related to what you're researching on. So you cannot just come from the sky and say, I'm looking at Maslow hierarchy of needs, and you do not focus your study on motivation. So link the study to what you'll be looking at. So let's look at a few models of innovation, and then we are going to do one group activity, and then by then I think we'll be done. So I'll begin sharing my screen. And what I want to look at today is that we have realized that there's a lot of dynamism when it comes to aspects of creativity and innovation. And when we bring in creativity and innovation, it basically means we have to bring in change because the creative ideas we are coming up with, the innovative ideas we are coming up with must be implemented. Now, so the first one that I want to look at is what we call the conservative approach. You're being conservative. I think you've heard people talk of that. I am a conservative person. You keep to yourself. You do not want to open up to new things. And I'll begin by giving an example. When the ATMs, and I'm sure all of us, even in Addis Ababa, we have ATMs. When you go to the bank and you have to withdraw money, so you use the ATMs. When they came on board, many people were not open to the idea. They were not appreciative of the change. This was an innovative idea where you would withdraw money from your card and take it away. I remember, especially in Kenya, the older people were not quite. They would go to the ATM and hide their PIN. They didn't want to show anybody. They were even scared that when they're withdrawing, they don't want somebody next to them. They were conservative because they were used to going to the bank to collect their money. So what does this conservative approach entail? It focuses on high level of control, okay? And it basically focuses on history and historical success. What are we looking at here? Basically, with the conservative approach, they are looking at, it's a model of innovation and change whereby it focuses on the history. 5 years ago, we have been doing well. 10 years ago, this company started 100 years ago, and we have still been doing well. What are you telling us about change? That cannot happen. So this approach relies on the history of success. We have done this for 100 years. Why change now? A lot of businesses in Kenya, especially Mombasa, I don't know that it's the same with Ethiopia, are run by Indian families. What do? They pass their entrepreneurial skill from child to child, So you find there's a lot of continuity in the way they do businesses. Now, they don't do much of this change, strategic plans and all these things that you people in organizations apply. Why? They say they have been successful for the last 100 years, for the last 50 years. So why should we change? Why should we bring in new aspects, such as strategic planning, such as some of the things we are being taught in this class? A good example was the watch and clock industry in Switzerland. In 1960s and 70s, we had a competitor come on board, Quartz. And what happened? The Quartz technology, when it came into the market, it was able to shake a bit of the watch and the clock industry in terms of competition. So they were about to be eliminated in the business because they were used to doing business the way it has been done over and over and over. Why? They have been successful for 100 years. Why should we change? But when the competitor came on board, they had to think of what to do. So with the conservative approach, the general feeling in the industry is that we have been doing this for the last 10 to 40 years. Who will tell us what we do? So this approach in terms of innovation and creativity is called the conservative approach, okay? Unless there's a question on the same, I will move on to the second model. The second model or approach is what we call adapting R&D. R&D. What do we mean here? R&D stands for research and development. Research and development, okay? So organizations, we are basically saying they are doing things in a controlled and stable way. But within the organization, they have set out a unit for research and development. Research and development. Now, when there are chaos, when there are issues, when there are problems, this is the department that is able to be put all these problems. So we are basically saying organizations, they are doing things. They are operating in businesses the way they are supposed to do. They are stable in the operations, but there is one unit that has been created. The unit, we call it the research and development, the R&D. Now, what happens in this department is that all the chaos, all the new ideas, all the problems, all the creativity is within this R&D. And in case there are issues to be tried and tested, they are also done here. So they do the testing, they do the trying. Once they get the approval of the management, now we can spread across the entire organization. So the problem with this adopting R&D model is that this may take some time for change to be effective, because you can imagine it has to be tried in the R&D department, people to accept it, management to approve, and you are able to spread to the entire organization. So this may take some time. So this is the second approach that many organizations that are innovative are able to adopt. Now, number 3, unless there's a question, please ask. We have what we call the middle ground model, or the islands of innovation. The middle ground model, or the islands of innovation. What do we mean here? Now, you can see what is on my screen. I've been able to show different islands. So these are like different islands, okay, or grounds. So the idea here is to think different or innovative, which is delegated to different members of the organization. So you come up and say, marketing department, take up this problem, finance, take up. So you have different departments or different islands thinking about different issues. Now, what happens in these islands is that they are provided with questions and challenges, and they are requested to propose new ways of doing things. So island A comes up with their solutions, island B comes up with their how to solve the problems, island C comes up with something else. So all these will become different. It's like brainstorming. I think you've had brainstorming session. But now this time they are doing it in different departments. So at the end of it all these will be able to solve problems. And when the problems are solved, they cannot be adopted by the whole organization. That's why we are calling them the islands of innovation, middle ground model. So we come up with different islands, and then once we agree, we adopt one, the middle ground that is acceptable for everybody. So that is number 3. Number 4, we have the innovative organization. Innovative organization. I'm not sure whether we are here, okay? I'm not sure whether we are here. I think for us in most of our organizations, including where we are working, I think some of us are under conservative. I think I'll be asking you this. I think we are under conservative. We are still doing things the way we used to do 100 years and operating the way business should have been run 100 years because you still feel comfortable. Number 2, others are still adopting. They have a department for research and development, which they are doing a bit of research to establish what is happening. And I think we are also trying this where we brainstorm or departments are given tasks. I do that in my organization, but I think we are not yet here. The innovative organization. Which is the innovative organization? The innovative organization is the organization whereby each and every worker, from the CEO to the drivers to the ashtray cleaners, are expected to come up with new ideas and how to do work better. That's very challenging, okay? CEO, the issue of innovation and creativity is not just left to the top manager. The issue of creativity entails how can that cleaner become more innovative? How can that ashtray cleaner become more innovative or creative? So we are looking at everybody operating within the organization, coming up with new ideas and how to do their work better. So it cuts across. I know in most of our organizations, it's the top management that is focused on that. So evaluation of employees at the end of the year, maybe the performance contracts that they sign, is not only on job performance, but also on creative idea generation. So we are measuring performance, yes. How are you able to perform within the year ended? But how many creative ideas were you able to generate? That goes still to your performance contracting. So with the innovative organization approach, the biggest challenge is getting the idea to work. You have gotten many ideas from the ashtray cleaners to the drivers to who. How have you been able to implement the change in the organization? That's the biggest challenge. And I must say this is the biggest challenge with organization leadership today, because you come up with beautiful ideas, including our strategic plans. But at the end of the day, how many of those beautiful ideas were able to be implemented to bring change within the organization? So these, we call it the innovative organization. Now, the new ways, I moved this slide. I can move it here. Yes, sorry, this should be here. On the islands, I think I talked about it. So the new ways are tried within these islands. They test them. This is what I was trying to explain. And I was reading somewhere, Israel, the Ministry of Education in Israel is adopting the islands of innovation style. How are they doing it? They adopt this approach by having schools, like one school, let's say like your college now, adopts new teaching methods. You practice it, you try it out. Once it works, the Ministry of Education rolls out to all the other schools. So they have been using this, the islands of innovation, to identify a school or a university, for example, with the right teaching methods, with the right delivery ways of doing things. And then once it's implemented, they are able to pass it to the others. So the innovative organization. Now, other models that you can find for change that you can, no, maybe I can stop there and maybe ask, is there a question among the 4 that I've talked about? And maybe I can stop sharing and ask, which among your organization are they using as the models of innovation? Are you using number 1?
Doctor.
Sorry, before the question, yes?
Question.
Yes, please.
Question. Yeah, as we have seen, both the first and second done under the controlled supervision, right?
Yes.
Even if it's conservative and including the second is adopting research and development, it is done under the control. So under the models of innovation, is the controlled room necessary?
Under the islands of innovation and the innovative?
No. We have discussed both under conservative and under the second adopting research and development.
Yes.
It says there is high control and it's done under high control, right?
Yes.
So is it the basic criteria to have to be done under control in case of innovation?
I would say the first 2 models to me look, what would I say? They are more of old or traditional ways of doing things. And you know what happens with organizations and management that follow certain procedures. For example, we normally say the hierarchy, when you're drawing the organization structure, it can be tall or it can be flat. Tall structures are like governments. Maybe I can put let me add a slide so that you're able to see what I'm talking about. Just a minute. Just a minute, okay? So let me share. I want to show you something in relation to what he's asking. Are they controlled or not controlled and so on? Now, let me pick my pen, I draw. If you look at the organization structure, in most organizations, this is how it is. This is the top management or the guys who are visionary. These guys are the visionary guys that are involved with where the organization wants to be. These are the departmental heads, okay, departmental heads. These ones are in charge mainly with the dream is now, how do we actualize the strategy? But these are the doers. These are the actual doers. So how do we increase students' numbers, for example, at the university? We can do marketing. So these guys sit here, procurement and who, but now the actual doers are the ones who do the thing. Now in this, for example, in government, we have 2 types of structure. We have what we call the tall structures. Tall structure are very bureaucratic. Decision making, the sweeper or cleaner, you remember the ashtray cleaner, who has a creative idea being here and wants to share it with the CEO who is up here, in the tall structure, it will take years before it gets approval. Because first of all, there are no processes. That's why they are controlled. They are controlled. You cannot move to the CEO before you see your head of department here, for example, okay? That's why it's controlled. But we are seeing in the new innovative approach, anybody, including this driver who is here, the ashtray cleaner, the floor cleaner, should come up with creative ideas. It's not just the CEO here, okay? So the second approach is more open. It's not more locked. It's not more controlled. The islands of innovation, we are looking at small teams, more islands, more islands. These islands are made up of who? They might be made up of some guys here, some guys here, some guys here. So you can see there's also no control. But the first 2 approaches that we have talked about, you find that the CEO is the one who started the company. He has been operating the business for the last 40 years. You are coming in as a new accountant, you're telling him, now we need to introduce the new accounting model. He asks you, for the last 40 years, I've been doing well in business. What are you telling me? What are you telling me? The business has a conservative approach. So the first two models are more controlled in that sense, that decision-making becomes very difficult. Now, this other approach is what we call the flat structures, flat. Sorry, I'm trying to write with my pen, flat. What do we mean here? This kind of structure is more elaborate in terms of decision-making. How? Now, with flat structures, you're more concerned with, okay, one, decision-making is very fast. Fast. To move from here to here doesn't require a lot of time. So people with creative ideas at this level can be able to see their CEO. There is less bureaucracy, less bureaucracy. Here there is more bureaucracy, okay? Here people are more motivated because I can be able to see my CEO, I can be able to discuss, I can be able to deliberate on the key issues. Here people are more demotivated. And here decision-making takes more time. Decision-making is less. Are you seeing that? So the first two models fall under the government tall bureaucratic structure where people are demotivated. But the second model, where we have the innovative organization and the islands, is more flexible. Good. Is it clear, Mamo?
Thank you, yes.
Good. So among the four, I would want us just to be honest, which one are we adopting in our organization? In your insurance company, Mamo, in the breweries, in ILS company, in the banking sector, which among the four are you using or are you supporting? Or which one do you adopt, maybe in terms of your innovations and creativity? I would wish to hear that. And maybe you support with answers why you're telling us that. Who wants to start? Ayele?
I can start, Doctor.
Proceed.
I can start. I'm raising my hands.
Okay, proceed, Ayele.
Okay. In our organization, SICA adopts the R&D structure in product development, and the innovative company in other fields, such as the procurement, sales, and other departments are using the innovative type. But in the product, specifically in the product development, it is R&D. Yeah.
Okay, R&D. So you're basically adopting two. You're saying you're adopting R&D and you're also adopting the innovative.
Yeah.
Innovative. Question. In your organization, do we have, have you heard what I've said? The ashtray cleaner coming up with brilliant ideas. What I'm basically saying, the lower level cadre of staff are dealing with creative, they come up with creative ideas. Is that what you're telling us?
Yes, it is everybody's idea has a room to be entertained and treated properly.
Hello, yes?
Do you hear me? Everybody.
Yes.
We have a room, you know, we have a room for everybody's idea from the bottom until the top is treated properly and entertained. Any innovative idea is entertained in the company.
Okay.
Regardless of the position.
Then that's an innovative organization. Yeah. From the driver, from the gate, that's an innovative. Okay, that's great. Okay, that's okay. So they're adopting two styles: the innovative and the R&D approach. Okay, who wants to go next? Mamo?
Yeah.
Mamo?
More of in my corporation, the first two is implemented. As it is known, it is a government-owned organization. The first and the only government-owned insurance company in our country. So it is more of conservative, but due to
The first one, it's
dynamic,
more, sorry, the first one, conservative, are you saying that?
conservative, yeah.
Okay, okay.
And in some sorts of in a marketing, we are somehow using the research and development due to the global the competitions with others.
Okay, okay.
So more of it's procedural, right? That's why it is conservative.
Okay. So because it's a government institution and because of the bureaucracies that are involved, you're saying that you adopt the, you normally adopt the conservative approach, and you have seen that because of the government, policies, rules, there are certain things you should do. But also because of the research, you have also the R&D department because of what you're doing out there. Okay. Biru?
In our organization, most of the time, we are using the creative ideas system, but all staffs are not involving in this creativity ideas, because one department's task is different from another department's task. For example, as you said, the ashtray cleaner can't comment in sales and marketing department. They can't bring any creative ideas to they are not contributing any creative ideas to the departments, because each department has their own task. But in the department of sales and marketing, most of the time, each employee come up with his own creativity, and during meeting time, they bring the idea, and the supervisors are observing each ideas, and if the idea is good, they may take it with a budget. They prepare a budget for it. After that, it might be implemented immediately, especially in the competition system with the competitors. That idea might be fruitful and effective.
Okay. So I think you're talking of, do you adopt the island, because I've heard of coming up with ideas. If it's fruitful, it's picked, and then I would say that falls under the island. You remember the one we talked about, the islands of innovation, or the middle ground model.
Yeah, each department may create different things for their own departments, not for others. Sometimes some departments may align each other. For example, the finance may comment some things about the marketing, because the budget is most of the time the issue of the finance department. So some departments may working together with the creative ideas,
Okay. And also some of these departments, some issues are cross-functional. We call them cross-functional units. There are things that cut across. Finance cannot work alone. They need to work with marketing. Marketing cannot work alone. They need to know the research and development department, what is new, so that they're able to market. So there's some kind of interrelationship among the department. Nani left. We don't have Bikala. Okay, I think he has disconnected. It's okay. So we'll just continue. Now, then let's look at our next. We are going now to look at what are the key models for change. What are the key models for change? This you can also be told to discuss them in class, in exam. Please take note of that. You can be told to discuss. Now, I'll begin with the most famous model. The most famous model, which is known as the Kat-Lewin's change model. Okay, the Cat-Lewin's change model. I think some of you have heard of this model, Cat-Lewin's change model, very common model. In case you are studying anything change, you must meet this model. It's called the Cat-Lewin's change model. And the model presents 3 steps in introducing change in the organization. 3 main steps. The first one is unfreeze. Unfreeze. The second one is change. The third one is refreeze. So Cat-Lewin's, you can read more about him. He was able to come up with this model, basically just to relate how can we make change permanent within the organizations that we are operating in. And so I'll discuss each step. I'll try to elaborate on each step. So let's start, you start at the unfreeze stage. What does the unfreeze stage entail? Now, the first thing during unfreezing, you know, unfreezing is like you're opening up. It's like you're opening up. You need, first of all, to recognize the need for change. Everybody within the organization must be able to recognize, why are we bringing this new change? So they must, that's the unfreezing part of it. Now, from there, you encourage the replacement of old behaviors and attitudes with new behaviors. Remember, you are unfreezing. You are helping the people to understand, why are we bringing this new change in the organization? So you begin by, first of all, recognizing the need for change. Why is change important? Now, old habits, old behaviors, and attitudes with new behaviors, what is it that they need to change? For example, if you're going to have people dress on Fridays down with their corporate color shirts, you start by making people recognize, why do we need to brand ourselves with our corporate shirts, okay? Before we were not doing it, but if we do it now, we are creating a brand in the market. So you unfreeze. So you're ensuring everybody understands what you are or where you're operating on. The second one is change. Now, once you unfreeze the behavior, you bring in change within the organization, change. So you implement change by taking specific actions. What are the things that you're going to do? You can take the people through training. You can help the employees to learn new concepts or points of view. You can create role models within the organization, okay? You can create mentors. You can do benchmarking. How to bring change within the organization to make it more ideal that everybody understands what you're bringing on board. And then lastly, you do what we call refreezing. Now within refreezing, we are saying changes are reinforced and stabilized. Now here you try to bring leaders on board that are going to make the change permanent. One way of doing it is coming up with very clear policies. If you don't do this, if you don't dress down on Fridays with your corporate shirt, these are the consequences. So you are refreezing. You are making change permanent. Rules and regulation. Number 2, you can motivate people. If you do this, you'll get this. And then you can also bring coaching and modeling, help reinforce the stability of change. And also, I've said leaders can integrate the changed behavior or attitude in the normal way of doing things. So you're bringing the change within the organization. Refreezing is mainly to make it permanent. So you start by unfreezing, recognizing the need for change, encouraging people to replace old behaviors, and then you implement the change. You bring it permanent within the organization by helping people to stick, and then lastly, you refreeze that. So it's called the Cat-Lewin's change model. Unless there's a question on the same, on the Cat-Lewin's, I can go through all the models, and then from there you can ask a question. Now, next we have what we call the Bain Bridge Organization Redesign Theory. Bain Bridge Organization Redesign Theory, okay? Now, what is this model or theory about? You can read more on it. Now, the Bain Bridge Organization Redesign Theory is the model that was introduced when organizations were going through redesign. Redesign was a big thing then, okay? Previously, we had organizations going through transformation. So this model came on board during that time. Now, on this aspect, we are saying to implement change, you have to do it in a purposive, systematic manner, not in a chaotic, haphazard way. Systematic, you have to follow certain orders. You have to follow certain things or ways in which it should be done, purposively, systematic way. So this model is in a circular way, circular, so you're going round, I'm going to show it to you, and it's an ongoing process. So when you start from one stop, you are continuously going round till to the end. So let's look at the model, and you can write it in your book because the explanation will also follow. So the first stage we have is the design stage. Okay, design stage. Design stage. That's why I said it is circular. As you can see, you're going round and round and round until you get here. I'll mention where I put that in color. Okay, so we have the design stage. The second one, we have what we call the definition stage. The definition stage. The third, we have what we call the deployment. The fourth, we have what we call the dismantling. And the last one, we have what we call deployment. So I'll begin with the first one, which is the design. Just leave assessment for now. I'll tell you why I put that an arrow inside there. Basically, I'm doing a critique of the model. Bain Bridge Organization Redesign Theory was created, but I'm saying, I think there's something they should have done. I'm doing a critique, but I'll come to that. Now, when you look at this model, the first stage is the design stage. What are we looking at the design stage? At the design stage, we are basically saying we need to look at the key aspects, the requirement as you come up with the process of redesigning. What are the requirements? What resources do you need? What personnel do you require? So this is the design stage, which is the first stage of the Bain Bridge redesign model. What are the requirements? And requirements can be cross-cutting, they can be many. Now, the second stage is what we call the definition stage, Now, once you have come up with the requirements, you specify what is needed and you record the design. So this is the definition stage. Specify what is it that is needed, and you come up with a record of the design of what you need to capture. The third one is the development stage. Now you've already designed, come up with the requirements. You've already come up with the specific records, definition. You've specified what is needed. Now you come to the development stage. You cultivate new capacity. You can do training here, education, restructuring, development. And then we have the fourth stage, which is the dismantling stage. You need to remove some things. You need to convert something. There are some things that are redundant. Okay, parts of the organization. There are certain things that will not work. Okay, so you remove them, so you convert them, or you take away. That's why we are saying dismantling, like you're destroying. Certain behaviors, certain cultures need to be dismantled for the organization to be able to achieve its objectives and goals. And then lastly, we have what we call the deployment stage, the deployment. These are the new capabilities that you have introduced. This is the new change, both internally and externally. So this is what we call the Bain Bridge model, the Bain Bridge model. Now, why did I put assessment here? Now look at it, we have designed, we have come up with a definition, we have developed, we have dismantled and deployed. Now we go to the field as we're doing the deployment, because deployment is like you're releasing now the product to the market, but you realize we need to do an assessment. We need, as we do the deployment, once we deploy, we need to come back and assess. Were we able to achieve our goals and objectives? This is to me more like monitoring and evaluation. And I think I told you the other day that in project management, they call it meal. I'm not sure that I told you, it's my other students. You know, when you're teaching as a lecturer, you might repeat yourself, or you might, just like a preacher, okay? Meal. What does it stand for? Monitoring, evaluation, accountability, and learning. Meal. So you need to come after deployment stage and conduct the meal. Why? It helps us to determine, to monitor our progress. What are we been able to achieve? Okay. E, evaluation. We are able to know we have reached 50% and we are to do 70%. Accountability. We had this amount of money for this. Are we accountable? Are the resources accountable? Are the personnel accountable? Are the, okay? And then learning. We learn from it. Now, once we learn from here, we can now come back and design. We can come back and design, okay? So learning process can help you now come back and be able to form the design of what it is that you want. So this is what we call the Bain Bridge organization model. Any question up to there? Okay. If there is no question, we move to the third model. The third model is what we call the contingency theory of organization design. Contingency theory of organization design. Now, what we are saying with this model is that there must be consistency and contingency. Consistency. How you do things, they must be consistent. You can't do one and stop. There must be some level of contingency between one, the organization goals, vision, and the way the organization is designed or built. What are we looking at? We are looking at how does the organization operate in terms of the goals, the vision, and the design. When I talk about organization design or how it's built, I'm looking at the organization structure. What is the structure? And I think we have already discussed it. We have said we have tall and we have flat structures. Okay, we have tall and we have flat structures. So contingency theory of organization design. Now, in the contingency also, we are saying you need to ensure your staff have enough resources to make decision on all issues affecting the organization. Now, let me give an example here. Assuming you are running let me give with Bekal, where he works at the bank. You're working at the bank, and I, as a manager, as a customer, come to that bank. I want to inquire about certain resources that you need within the organization, okay? You're looking at the resources you need, maybe as a bank, I want to take a loan or a mortgage or something like that. Will the person I meet at the front office be able to solve my issue? Or she needs to wake up and go to another manager and go to another manager and go to another manager to make an inquiry of the same. So I'm basically saying with the contingency theory, where you're linking goals, structure, and everything, the staff must have enough resources to make decisions on all issues affecting the organization, not moving from one manager to the other to inquire. That is wasting time and they're not being productive. So people within the organization must be equipped. If you're sitting at the front office desk, you must be able to have the knowledge to be able to answer the question without having to refer the customer. If the customers are disappointed with your product, how are you able to solve that? So contingency looks at that in terms of linking the goals, the structure, and everything else. Now, organizations before, okay, are people disappearing? Let's check. But you're using one line. I saw you're using one communication. What do you call it? Your line is one.
ETC. Ethiopian Telecommunication Authority.
Yeah, I saw, yeah. You know, in Kenya, we have many. You can use Safaricom, you can use Airtel, you can use Telcom. You opt depending with the charges. That's a problem of monopoly. Monopoly is whereby you operate in a market where it's only one, and maybe it's government controlled. So they control everything that you do. Yeah, which is not good. And competition is not there. When there's monopoly, there's no competition. But when there are more people providing the same product, it becomes easy even to be competitive. For example, the communication industry has been really competitive, including internet. You find one is offering how many GBs for this, the other one is offering the same. So very competitive. The customers at the end of the day, we are the ones who benefit. We are the ones who benefit from this kind of
I think
competition.
some of your companies joining us.
Yes, Safaricom is joining Ethiopia. I saw that.
Yeah.
It's
We
good
hope it will
because
be there tomorrow.
yeah, because very good because Mama from Kenya can send you money, M-Pesa. You can send you money, M-Pesa from there. You can send me money in Kenya in case there's a product you want to buy. Okay, Biru, are you there? We were waiting for you.
Yes.
Okay, what happened? Your network
Connection.
disappeared.
Yeah, network. Unfortunately, the network is disconnected due to unknown reason.
Okay, so let's continue. We're just waiting for you. So let's continue because of time. Because there's something. Yes, I hope we are together. So I think just to recap, because we were looking at contingency.
Is Alex there?
Yes, I am here.
Yes, everybody's there. Okay. So I said the third model was the contingency theory, I think when you disappeared, of organization design. And we said here you're looking at the organization must ensure this consistency or contingency between the organization's goals, the vision, and the way the organization is designed. And that's why I put there the diagram, the goals and design. And when you look at the goals and design, the design is per se looking at how the organization is built in terms of the structure, the organization structure. Okay, and we talked of the tall and flat structure. Now, I've talked of the ensuring that your staff in the contingency also have enough resources to make decisions on all issues affecting the organization. Don't have some staff being limited on what they can do and what they cannot do. Ensure they have that capacity to handle all the resources. Now, organizations before used to be standalone systems, an organization that would stand alone. But you see, with this kind of change and innovation that is coming on board, we are saying today's organizations are open system. They are not closed system. Before, there were closed system where they could operate on their own. But today's organizations are open systems that are influenced by a number of things. Changes in culture, for example. Competitors, taste and preferences. If customers say they don't like what you're providing in terms of product, taste and preferences. The demands, the accessibility. How accessible are you to the customers that are there? What is the market share like? So today's organizations are operating in an open system rather than a standalone closed kind of system. And so under the contingency theory, that is why it's important to ensure consistency. Don't offer good customer service today and tomorrow you don't offer the same. Now this model has 3 stations or 3 sections, if I would give. The first section is the input section. Here we are looking at the raw materials. What are you bringing into the company to produce whatever you want? The raw materials, the information that will be used, we need as we do the job, because this is the input, okay? This takes throughput. The throughput, I would call it the process. If I would use a different word here, I would say this is the process. Now we have the raw materials, we have the information, okay? So here is raw materials.
በትምህርት ከፍ ብሎ መብረር ይቻላል። ናሽናል አቪዬሽን ኮሌጅ የናሽናል ኤርዌይስ እህት ኩባንያ ከከፍተኛ ትምህርት አግባብነትና ጥራት ኤጀንሲ ሙሉ ዕውቅናን ባገኘንባቸው በማስተርስ ዲግሪ ኤምቢኤ በስትራቴጂክ ማኔጅመንት፣ ኤምቢኤ በባንኪንግ እና ፋይናንስ፣ ኤምቢኤ በቢዝነስ ሊደርሺፕ፣ ኤምቢኤ በሪስክና ኢንሹራንስ፣ ኤምኤስሲ በኢንተርናሽናል ትሬድ እና ኢኮኖሚክስ ዘርፎች በእውቀት ለመቅረጽ የበቁ ፕሮፌሰሮቻችን አረንጓዴ መብራታቸውን አብርተዋል። በነገራችን ላይ በኬንያ ሀገር ከሚገኙ ስመጥር ዩኒቨርሲቲዎች በሚመጡ ፕሮፌሰሮች የትኩረት መስክ ትምህርቶቹ መሰጠታቸው ልዩ ያደርገናል። በምርጥ የትምህርት ስርዓት የተገነባው ናሽናል አቪዬሽን ኮሌጅ በመጀመሪያ ዲግሪ በአቪዬሽን ማኔጅመንት፣ በሆቴል ማኔጅመንት፣ በአካውንቲንግ እና ፋይናንስ፣ በማርኬቲንግ ማኔጅመንት አስተማማኝ ትምህርት ይገቢውና ራስዎንና ሀገሮን ይለውጡ። አድራሻ 22 አደባባይ ወደ ሾላ በሚወስደው መንገድ ላይ ናሽናል አቪዬሽን ኮሌጅ የናሽናል ኤርዌይስ እህት ኩባንያ ህልሞን እውን ያደርጋል።
Okay, perfect. So I'll repeat again the 3 stations or the 3 sections that we have. Number 1 is the input. Here we are looking at raw materials. Number 2, I've talked about the throughput, but this I'm calling it the process. Process. Please note, how do we transform the raw materials to something? And then the output, this is the final
product.
Product. Yes, it can be the product
service.
or service, correct. So you have to look at this.
Service.
Now, very important as we look at this, I put some things here. You can see this. The operating, as the organization is operating in this model, they are likely to be influenced by a number of environmental issues. For example, in fact, I can use the common one that we know, the pestle. I think we talked about that. Pestle, P-E.
Yeah.
You remember the pestle?
Yes.
Most of you know it is pestle. It can be influenced by pestle. So for example, outside here, it can be influenced by legislation, competition, market forces, and so on. But also down here, we can get some feedback from the customer as we're operating in this environment. They can say the raw materials you're using for your products are not good, okay? They can tell us your products are of good quality, and so reputation of the company is good. So this can be from the environment, but also from the people we are interacting with, the suppliers and so on. So the process, the three stations of this model is the input, the process, and the output, okay? Which I've clearly explained in the next slide, which is that. Let me erase first. Okay, so I've tried to explain that. You can see that when I send the notes for the same. Now, what are some of the, so those are the main models. Maybe if there is a question on the three models, the Cut-Lewins change model, which I've talked about, freeze, unfreeze, change, freeze, okay? Refreezing is like repackaging. You know, you're putting in the freezer, you're repackaging. Unfreezing, you're trying to open from the freezer. So you can think in that sense. And then the Bain bridge organization theory that I talked about, whereby you introduce change in a very systematic and purposive way. But I've said, I've tried to critique the model and say, where is the assessment? It's important to do the assessment. And then we have the last one, which we call the contingency theory of organization design, contingency theory of organization design. So any question on the three models before I look at some of the conditions that are required for change, and then we can do some group activity before we close. Question? Let me stop sharing. Are there questions on the models? Is it clear? Okay. Silence means two things. I was telling my students this yesterday. Silence means two things. One, people are understanding everything. Two, people are not understanding anything. So I don't know under which category you are. Maybe you're understanding or you are not understanding. But I will be able to know that when I mark your papers. That is the beauty of it. My assessment part, let me show the model back again. My assessment part will come when I do the marking. I'll be now asking, why didn't Mamo ask this question? And I asked it. Why didn't Biru ask? Why did Ayele ask this question? Okay, so basically I'm assuming that you understand it. Otherwise, during the marking, I'll be able to see. By the way, during my exam, try to be organized in your writing. You know, we are coming to the end of the semester. I feel like we are starting the semester for me because your class is interactive. I'm not coming there throughout. I teach online, so it's much easier for me. So ensure you're organized. How do I mean by this? You might be told, answer question 1 and any other 2, for example. I'm just giving those as instructions. Start with the question you know you're going to handle everything. I have your booklets here. I think some of the booklets are still with us here. Let me just collect them. I show you an example. A minute, just give me 1 second. I'm not showing people's marks. I just want to show you how they can be disorganized. Just 1 minute. Now, these are some of the booklets that the students, we are waiting for the lockdown to end so that we send them over. But I just want to show you for last semester, the ones who did, so the marks are withheld for fear of people knowing their scripts, because some of you might be in this class. Now, you find a student, first of all, registration number, because your names are almost similar. There are so many Birus in, I noticed that. You know, you Ethiopians are like what? Like, I've also noticed the Muslim community, we also have a lot of Mohammeds. So you find Biru Abera, and I open this script, I might find, this one is Getach, Mirani, I don't know who. So you get the names are almost Girma is very common. Girma is very common in your Ayele. In fact, this one is called Ayele, like our Ayele here. So imagine if you have not put your registration number the right way, it can affect your marks. This is Melat, something. So I've just picked any papers, Musa, oh, this one is unique. So, but your names are somehow similar. So when you pick your question paper, first of all, please read your instructions on top. What are the instructions that have been given? Very important. Sometimes you're told answer question 1, question 2, and any other. Some of you, because you're used to answering question 1 throughout, you just go to question 1 and you ignore the other one. So read the instruction. Maybe you're being told answer any 3. You have started with 1 as usual. So please read instructions. That's why many people fail. Because last, not only you people, including my own students, they had been told answer question 1 and any other 3. My students answered 2. Okay, welcome back, Bikal. Answered 2. Please, they failed. 1 got a supplementary because they didn't meet the requirement. So try to adhere to the instruction. Others want to show the lecturer they know everything. They answer all the questions. Okay, you can answer, I'll still mark. But the problem is spend more time on question 1 so that you're able to write. I'll mark the one you get the highest mark. I'll just select the best 3 at the end of the day. Now, when you come to, like this is answer question 1 and any other 2. That was the instruction for this paper. Now you choose the ones that you feel you're comfortable. Now start with the one you can answer well. Not a must you go 1, 2, 3. Now the problem I have with students is this. You write here, question 1. Okay, let me hide the name so that you don't see. You write here up to question 1. You finish 1, you start writing 2, like this one has written, I don't know, second option or is it a second question. You put an arrow, take me back to page 1, telling me, go back to question 1, madam, this is where we are starting. You finish, you turn the page, you write question 2, you move me back question 3, and take me back to question 2. Poor organization. You can lose marks for poor organization. Ensure you flow with your question. Start with question 1, finish it completely. These papers are provided in the school, so I don't think it's an issue of shortage of papers. Be organized. Mama is smiling, but these are critical issues. Start with question 1, finish, go to question 2, finish, go to question 3. If you're not sure, leave a space to fill the answer. Number 2, ensure your questions are well numbered. 1, 2, 3. Number 3, which I've seen also with the students, handwriting, very poor. I don't know whether all of you are medical doctors or engineers. They just write as they're going, you know, poor handwriting. So sometimes you read and you wonder, what were you trying to say? You try to think for the student. The lecturer should not do that. So try to be organized as you answer my questions and ensure your registration number is written here. On top, it is well written. For example, you can see this one. They moved to question 2, they wrote C here. The teacher was asking, clearly state question 5. And this is a question, in fact, to all the students. If you have been told discuss factors affecting something, 10 marks, don't assume it is 3 times 3, 9, or the lecturer will ask 5 times 2. Don't be the lecturer, be the student. And this is a word of caution. In the last class I taught in Ethiopia, many students failed because of that. They were told discuss some of the factors, 10 marks, 15 marks. They were saying it's 5 times 3. They write 3 points. They get 3 marks. I give them 3 marks instead of 15 marks. So you can imagine what a big blow they got. So that's why I give more points. As I'm talking, I give more points to enable the students. So any question, first of all, on what I've said? Like this one is being told, follow instructions. Follow instructions. They didn't follow instructions. You see? They didn't follow. The same with this one. Follow instructions. So please follow the instructions that are given. So questions, before I give the activity for today, Bikal, you have missed. We have looked at models for change and also innovation. So I want us now to go into, now look at the next thing I'm looking at, so I'm going to paste this into your breakout rooms. Now I want us, as we end this unit on innovation, I will not come back to it again, we are done. Next week, we are looking at group dynamics. Next week, we are looking at group dynamics and work teams. Or not next week, Thursday, sorry, on Thursday. And Tuesday, I'm looking at building a leadership team, And Thursday, you're doing your first presentation, and we'll be done with the course. And then we are going to agree when you're going to come and do the presentation for the second one. I'll see whether I can combine the second and the third so that we just have one more presentation and we are done for this semester. I wait for the exam. And I'll send you all the notes that I've done for this class, okay? Now, this is what I want us to discuss in our groups. The president of your organization, which is a small manufacturing company, and this is how the exams will come, has been complaining that sales are stagnant. A key problem you discover is that the market of the products your firm makes is fully developed, and frankly, the products themselves are not very exciting, okay? No one seems to care about doing anything innovative. Instead, the employees seem more interested in doing things the way they have always done them. Maybe it's a conservative culture we're talking about. What factors, this is what I want you to discuss in your groups. What factors do you suspect are responsible for the way the culture in this organization has been over the years? Let's hear 3, 4, 5 factors. What do you recommend should be done to enhance creativity of this organization, of this company's employees? And then lastly, what could be done to make the company's product more innovative? We are going to take only 15 minutes. Okay, so this is what you're going to discuss. I've already given, so I'm going to share with you the activity and take only 10 minutes, if you can 10 minutes, because you're going to listen to the 2 groups presentation. And right now I'm going to put in breakout rooms and I'm going to do it automatically, 2 rooms. So click on your screen when you see what appears. Quickly click and start the breakout room. So can we have Mamo and Ayele, because you're the ones, 2 people who are complete here. 2 people who are complete. So let's listen to you.
Okay, the first question says, as the presenter case is that there is a fall in sales, right?
Okay.
The sale of the given company is falling, and what is the factors contributing for that failing of the sale?
Mm-hmm.
We have discussed about the factors, the probable factors that contribute for the sale to fall is
okay.
The organization needs to assess the markets, or the organization need to undertake need assessment on behalf of the customer.
Mm-hmm.
And the solution we have dealt with this is just undertaking need assessment and coming with innovative idea and innovative products.
Mm-hmm.
And from starting from the product, the second reason could be, it might be the product design, which couldn't fulfill the customer's expectation or the preference of the customer.
Mm-hmm.
Here also we have recommended that the organization has to modify or redesign based on the assessment undertaken by the organization.
Okay.
Any more, Alex? Can you add some? Please?
Alex, can you add what factors you suspect are responsible for the way the culture of this organization has been over the years? Any other, apart from what Mamo has shared? Are you there? Okay, he left. He also disappeared today. I think there's a problem.
Yes.
I'm back, by the way.
You are back. Bikal and Biru, your partners are there. Ayele, okay, Ayele is back again. Sorry, you are leaving, coming back. Now, let's go to the second question. What would you recommend should be done to enhance creativity of this company? Ayele, what should be done?
Okay. I didn't heard what Mamo said for the first question. From the question itself, the product, to add on top of that, the product is fully developed. That means the product is in its decline stage. It is completing the life cycle of the product. So the company should react accordingly for a strategy for a lifetime completed product or a declining product. So they have to be innovative. They have to develop a new product or improve the features of the product to meet the needs and wants of the customer. I think their culture is an old style culture. They are saying we know it all. It is a conservative culture. So they have to change to innovative, and they have to add R&D in a better way. This will be the solution. We recommend this.
Okay. So they need to change their culture from being conservative to being more innovative, okay? From the ashtray to the, what I said, from the driver to the ashtray cleaner to the CEO, they must be creative with ideas. Okay. Last one, the last one was, what could be done to help make the company's product more innovative? Now, the products themselves, what can be done? Mamo or Ayele, what did you come up with?
As we have highlighted.
Modifying the features.
Modifying, yes, the research, the design of the
features.
Product, yes, features.
The product, improve the packaging.
Correct.
Continuous promotion and advertisement, creating a know-how. To establish a better communication channel, better communicate the product, develop new product related to that, or service.
Diversification,
yeah.
Correct. Okay, Mamo, anything you want to add? Anything else? Mamo?
Yes.
Anything you want to add?
Actually, Alex has presented, but as option, we could develop other products which are to be like what we call the substitute products, right?
Are we looking at substitute products or complementary products? Do you understand the difference between the two? Because you're diversifying. Which line? There is related diversification and unrelated diversification. If you are producing cups, you can start producing plates. That is related diversification. But if you are producing phones and you start producing pens, that's unrelated diversification. You get it? Yeah. So you can see that there is a difference on the two. So you have to focus and see which one are you looking at on the same. So is it related or unrelated? So as you diversify, that is also very critical. So any other comment on the same? The product must look at the design. Okay, let's group two present and then I can add my comments. Okay. So Bikal and Abera Biru.
Yes.
Question 1, what factors do you suspect are responsible for the way the culture in this organization has been over the years? Let's hear. Who is the presenter?
First.
Sometimes if the company has a weak culture, the market might be influenced by the weakness of the employees or the cultures by itself. So, for example, if the company employees are not creative enough to develop or to their sales activity, it will be a disaster for the company because there is a lot of competitors in the market, and the market become out of become out of the market. And the second thing is, if they are in comfort zone, you know, if they are satisfied and sleeping, and if they assume that they are in top position, and they are not expecting the competitors' influence because of their mentality, they will become a failure. So, and also, if there is if they are reluctant for change, if they are not if they are not always awake for a change, it will be also the reason for the weakness of the company, and it might be difficult to sell their products. And as Alama said, you know, if the product lifetime is become saturated, and if it is become declining stage, it's become the reason for not selling the product. And also the hierarchy of the company. If it's two-tone and there is no flat way of communicating each other, it's also one of the reason for the disturbance of the cultural development of the company. Also, conservatism also mentioned by Alex. Also, consistencies, the contingency issues. If there is no consistency in the creativity and market development or product development, because of the competitors' new products, it's become a failure for the company. That's
okay. That's all. Carl, we go to the second question. What would you recommend? What do you recommend should be done to enhance creativity of these companies' employees? What can we do to enhance their creativity?
To enhance creativity,
no.
the main thing that
can makes, we wanted Bikal to share also, just to
yeah.
He's being called by the children more, so we want to get him more involved so that the children don't call him. Okay, continue.
It's hard today. It's hard today. Sorry.
Why did you release the children? Why did you release the children?
I release them, but I can't. They shout on the door. Yeah, but I want to say something. First of all, they are in a comfort zone. Both the management and the employee are they satisfied by the past history. Therefore, the management should react something. Just the management can create some change management just by studying a strategy plan, by sharing first of all the visions and setting a new vision, and after that doing in the research and the development in the creative innovation, then they get into the line which the company wants to work them. After that, there is something will be happen as a future endeavor. I think the second can be such a.
Okay. Okay, that's okay. And then lastly, number 3, what could be done? Okay, yes, you want to add, yes?
Yeah, the company should take some actions in order to create
Network. Sorry, Biru, we
Network.
didn't hear you.
They should have to create
in order to
some new
creative
organizational.
sorry, in order to make the unemployees more creative, so motivation is the main tool in order to
Motivation. Okay, correct. Motivation, yes.
Yeah, the second
Okay, that's
thing,
what you wanted. Yes, the second.
The second thing is incentive. If the company incentivizes the unemployees, they can be effective in their day-to-day activities. And the third one is incentive and punishments also. There should be a KPI, and there should be a tool to measure the performance of an employee.
Okay.
If they are measuring their activities in months, in 6 months or yearly, and if they arrange reward and punishment, there will be a change, and the creativity by itself may create in the companies.
Okay. Okay, I think those are good insights also. And then lastly, what could be done to help make the company's product more innovative? What can be done? Bikal, do you have something to say apart from what Ayala?
Yes. When I create the second the strategy plan, I would like to see the external part of our competitors. We can see the external part of our computer. What do they do when I'm sitting down on our chairs? What do they do? What they create? What is new in the market? After watching that, I will change my products or differentiate it, or I'll do something with the change management systems. Changing a product or changing the employee might be the answer for increasing rate of my sales, to increase the sales. Therefore, all the employees should have to be committed for their tasks, and they will create something. They can create something, they can innovate something when they are delegated, when they know something, when they have got a vision to do something, to reach somewhere. Therefore, I think this can be the answer for the question number 3.
Okay, which was the part of what could be done to make the company's product. Apart from that, I think we have also been told by Ayala's group, the design can change, the packaging can be different, you can recolor. You see, this is a product, the smell, the taste. You can do R&D, research and development, to be able to pick that. So some of the questions you're going to get are like this in the exam, asking you, discuss some of the factors that are responsible for 10 marks. So I expect to see 10 points, a mark for each point. Mark for each point. A mark
Culture
for each
change. For example, culture change. Yes.
Yes. So you're likely to get such. Now,
yes.
I think I left one thing. I don't think we discussed this. This is the last slide I'm showing. I'm not sure we did this. The preconditions. Did I share this? I doubt. Preconditions for effective organization change. One, organizations will highly be resistant to change. That is obvious. Nobody wants to change. People are used to doing things in the same way. I'm sure the day you're told that you're supposed to come for these online classes, you are wondering how you are going to cope, because you're not used to online classes. You're used to going to class and being taught. So organizations will highly be resistant to change. And not just the organization, the people working in those organizations, because they are the ones who form the organization. Number 2, I think this has also been shared by one of you, have an exciting vision. Let every organization have a vision of where they want to go. These will help them be able to change at the end of the day. They will be able to change at the end of the day. Sorry, let me see, somebody chatting with Bain is saying something. I'm sorry, lights off.
Bakal same.
Sorry? It's you, Becca?
Really off from power. Yeah.
Okay, we
I'm
are finishing.
sorry. I'm again get out from the power. I'm really sorry.
No problem. And then number 3, involvement of people in the process of change. It is important that as you bring in the aspects of change, bring in the people. You are selling the idea. Don't implement change and then bring people back to adopt it. No, start the process of change. Unfreezing, change, refreezing with them, just like Cutler-Wynn's change model talked about. Involve the people in the process of change. Don't introduce change and then you bring people on board for it. And then ensure there is open communication, This will help people to understand all the processes that are going through and how this change can be effected within the organization. So ensure everybody understands how. And this comes on board, especially when you're refreezing them, because they'll have a lot of questions. And then feedback and monitoring system, I think we have said this, monitoring mechanism, feedback system to ensure that this change remains. Monitor to know, have you been able to achieve or not able to achieve? What is the feedback? What are the people saying? And then lastly, persistence. I tell this to my PhD students, and I'll still tell you as master students. You're finishing your coursework, very easy. Persistence, you must keep on pushing and pushing, persistent. You can't give up. You're going now to start writing your research work. Some of you get supervisors who give comments and comments and comments. Don't get discouraged. Others will say, your work is not okay, repeat. Persistence and resilience. You must be persistent every day, checking what is it that you can bring on board in terms of change. So these are just preconditions for, because things like structure must be okay, culture, organization culture must also be the same. Now, I was looking at Bear's, what do you call it, photo, what the image he has put. Can you see what's his image?
Yes.
Bear, can you?
Is it that?
Why is it that when one man builds a wall, the next man immediately needs to know what's on the other side? Quite interesting, you know?
Yeah.
When there was no wall.
For the hidden.
Yes, Mama?
We're always searching for the hidden. For the
yes,
unseen.
and I don't know why are people looking for the hidden treasures all the time. You know, when there was no wall, nobody was looking the other side. But when you create the wall, it is the same compound. It has not changed, but you still want to see what is on the other side. Maybe can be explained in terms of strategies. I'm looking at it in terms of strategies. Competitors, you want to know what does your competitor has to offer within the market. Now, yes, does somebody want to share something? I've just looked at it and I realized it's a key thing that we teach in strategy. Now I'm reading, I want to encourage you also, despite what you're doing, you might not have enough time, but please try to get some time to read. I like sometimes reading, not so much, but I try. This is a current book that I'm looking at. I'm sharing my screen. Who Will Cry When You Die by Robin Sharma. It's a good book. Who Will Cry When You Die? And it's giving key lessons. You can write it down. I'm sure it's also there. And it's looking at key life lessons by Robin Sharma, a good book. I would urge that you try to look at it. By the way, Robin Sharma is more of leadership. I also want, once I'm finished with that, I can look at The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. Okay. So it has inspiring things. Let me see whether I can get, I've gone to Google and said on books, but I wanted to say, just a minute, Who Will Cry When You Die. I just want to show you some sections of the book. Very nice book, okay? Basically, it's saying that you have to live for the purpose that you have now. You have to, if you're teaching, teach to the end. Don't teach when you're leaving a few things. That's why for me, I want to ensure that I'm able to impact on my students in the best way, the best of my ability. Okay. Okay, just a minute. I stop sharing. I look for it. I see whether I can get it. It's on my Kindle. I have downloaded it here, but I've not downloaded the app on my laptop. But I wanted just to see whether I can get just one or two Okay, if I can't, let me just do this. I think it's easier. Let me just do this. You can download the app, Kiddle. It's easier. You just register. It's not expensive. It's free. On the first chapter, it's talking about discovering your calling. Discovering your calling. How will you discover what you have? And one of the things that I read on this book is that my answer always begins with the same way, finding your calling. I believe we all have special talents that are just waiting to be engaged in a worthy pursuit. So all of us have unique talents, everybody. We can't be the same. Vikal might be this talkative. I cannot judge you because I've interacted with all of you. Please allow me to just state what kind of people I've learned for the how many months that we have been with you. Vikal is this talkative person who is outgoing and he speaks his mind. Okay, speaks his mind. Of course, he doesn't want to be defeated by everybody. He wants to ensure that he is doing the right thing, okay? And he wants to ensure that he does it to the best among all the others that are with him. But he's outgoing. He shares his mind, okay? Ayele is very focused on what he wants to do. Very serious with his, especially with his studies. I find that very interesting. Biru, can I continue?
Yes.
Okay. Biru also quite detailed. I think you're detailed. You're detailed to the point. You're detailed. Mamo, a bit soft-spoken, but not shy away to state what he has in mind also. Quite soft-spoken. Maybe because he's in class, I don't know when he's out there. Maybe when he takes a drink, he'll be a different person. You know, people change with personalities depending with the situations and where they are, okay? So that might be my perspective of you. And that is what this book is talking about, discovering your calling. You have a talent. What is it that you need? Now, it simply means you need to bring more of yourself into your work and focus on the things you do best. What is it that you're good at? Is it making PowerPoint presentation? Focus on that. If you are poor in writing reports, don't focus on that because your boss will always realize you're weak at that. So capitalize on what you're good at, organization. So you always be seen you're shining. But if it comes to issues of report and you're poor, don't do them. Just do what you're good at. Okay, it means you have to stop waiting for other people to make changes you desire. As Mahatma Gandhi said, be the change that you wish to see most in your world. And once you do, your life will change. The next one is every day, be kind to a stranger. So it has every day's headings, maintain your perspective, and so on. So please, if you can, get a hard copy or get a soft copy of this book. It will help you just to refresh your minds. It's not all about work and all about passing exams. It's also all about life. Because once you attain your master's, the key question I'll ask you is, what value are you going to add with the master's that you attain from this beautiful university? The same with me when I got my doctorate. One of the questions I was asked, what impact are you going to create to the society with the PhD that you have attained? So it's not just about the papers. There are people who have attained the PhD, and since they attained, they have done nothing. What are you going to do with that? Okay. Okay, thank you very much. It's going to 45 past, so we need to close unless there are questions. Unless there are questions, I have 2 more topics to do with you. So group dynamics and work teams, I'm going to do Thursday. And then Tuesday, I'm going to do building leadership team. Thursday, we are going to have the first group presentation. So Thursday is just presentation. And then we are going to have Tuesday the other week, or we agree on Thursday, either the final presentation, and we are done for this semester. I'll make sure I send all the notes. If I have not sent, you can always remind me. You can also contact me on email. I'm always available to be reached at, and I'll be able to help the best of my ability. I know I'd said I would wish to have a session with you just to run you through research. I think the session that Bikal is organizing, please, if you can join in. I don't have a limitation on you guys joining in, even if I'm not your supervisor. You can still join in. We can share publication. I've seen it's a must that you publish a paper. So I'll be taking through my students all those things. What are they supposed to publish? How do you do anti-plagiarism checker? How do you write your proposal? So we are going to organize an off session. Bikal, I'll put you there because you're one of my students. Bring in the other 2 students And if you can't, you can invite your colleagues in this class. I don't mind. Otherwise, I really appreciate your time. So let's meet on Thursday.